This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's mention that we've got a big show coming next week. We're going to be talking about Magnum TA.
Love that.
What did happen, what could have happened. It's got to be one of the great what ifs in professional wrestling history. And Tony Schiavone and I have been watching him week by week through 1986. And I'm about convinced he's one of the strongest promos in the business at that point. He's so believable.
Yeah.
And a lot of people thought he was the heir apparent to the world championship. And we're going to be talking about him next week. But before we get out of here, we've got some fan questions about Mankind's 1997. Good. Let's jump into it. The Rose Investor wants to know, what was it about the Dude Love character that prevented it from having a more significant run on TV that year? I felt like the vignettes Foley shot leading to the big reveal where we get the reveal, but then it's shortly tucked away again to be Mankind. Do you think Dude Love was a flop?
I don't think Dude Love was a flop, but it wasn't as strong as Mankind or Cactus Jack. So we invested in TV time of the stronger of the three. You can't give all three characters equal representation. At least that's my take on it. So you have to prioritize somehow. And I think most people would say, even though I admitted myself, I love Dude Love, but Mick's strongest personas were not Dude Love. And so that's kind of how that worked out.
Here's another one from Tennessee Hutch. We get introduced to two new personas of Foley's in 97. Why was Cactus Jack the right persona to team with Chainsaw Charlie? Dude Love may have been an odd pairing, but why not Mankind? Could Mankind have worked instead?
Of course it would have. Yeah. Yes, it would have. Tennessee. It would have worked, but that's not the call that was made. That's not the play that was run. And I think Cactus Jack had that cult following. The like you said earlier, Conrad, the EC Dub chants in the garden and ECW's backyard. It was just further testament that Cactus Jack probably at the end of the day, Conrad, and this is an arguable assumption by me, Cactus Jack was the strongest of the three Foley characters, in my view.
I agree.
And I love Mankind, don't get me wrong. But if you have to prioritize TV time and creative investments, things of that nature, somehow or another, you've got to put the right amount of time in the right character. And Dude Love just drew the third straw. But to say he wasn't a failure or was he a flop? Hell no, he wasn't a flop. But he's competing with himself. Mixed representation of Cactus Jack and Mankind just were stronger in the eyes of the decision makers, namely the old man, Vince McMahon, that we're going the right direction. And I totally agree with
that. Here's one last question, and then we'll wrap this week's up. Andy wants to know, do you think that much of Foley's work in this era gets overshadowed because of his King of the Ring 98 showing? While it's great he's being celebrated, a lot seems to be missing from just how great Mick was. I think that's an excellent point. You and I have talked a lot about how in recent years, I've started to appreciate more and more that Foley should be in that Rushmore conversation because he was great as a commissioner. He was great as Cactus Jack. He was great as Mankind. He was great as Mick Foley. He's written all these books. He's done one-man shows. I mean, he is a Renaissance man of wrestling.
No doubt.
And I think when people talk about his career, a lot of it just gets boiled down to, remember that time he got thrown off the cage?
Yeah.
And it almost feels like how, and you and I've talked about this a little bit, but anytime I see James Gandolfini and anything else, I'm like, I don't believe it because he's Tony Soprano.
Bingo.
He did Tony Soprano so well that I won't accept him any other way. And I almost feel like in hindsight, we forget about everything else that Gandolfini did. And I almost wonder if that's the case for Foley. And it's just all about King of the Ring and Hell in a Cell.
As much as I love James Gandolfini's work on The Sopranos, I'm a big Sopranos fan. The first thing when I got my iPad and when someone showed me how to download content, when you first get the music app, you got to have that. Then you got to subscribe, drag this, click there, subscribe here, add your password, blah, blah, blah. The first thing I downloaded, video wise was two things. And I did them on the same day. One was The Sopranos entire run and Deadwood entire run.
Al Swearingen.
Yeah, I love Al Swearingen, you cocksucker. Sorry, folks. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. But those guys, and I've seen Al Swearingen in many incarnations since, and my mind goes directly to Al Swearingen.
Of course.
Ian McShane, and one of my good friends, Earl Brown, who played Dan Doherty, is heavy, and I'll put up Dan Doherty's fight with the major or whoever he was, the colonel, whatever the big hitman for the oil of the gold guy, the Gerald McRaney's heel character, which is great. But when I see that was one of the best fights ever on television. You know, I always revert back to my old school deal where John Wayne had that classic fight in The Quiet Man with Victor McLaughlin.
Yeah.
But the fight with Dan Doherty and the big bastard, is great. And I like I said, Earl and I are good buddies. Earl's a big wrestling fan, originally from Kentucky, so he saw a lot of wrestling, a lot of territory wrestling, and he'll tell you that some of the psychology of that fight came from watching pro wrestling.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is cool, and he's a good guy. We keep in touch still, and Earl's staying busy, a good dude. See, I think that if we ever do a movie on Under the Black Hat, which is still being discussed seriously, where they've got some people engaged ready to go, director, writers, all that stuff. It's getting closer. I thought Earl would be could have a good role in that movie in some way. I don't know if he plays JR or not, but somebody's going to. The funny thing about that deal, not to digress too far, the real charm of that casting and of the movie people is Jan.
Yeah, of course.
She's got a key role in this book. If you haven't read Under the Black Hat, it's a love story, according to a lot of folks. So I hope it makes it to the big screen at some point in time, or a Showtime special, or what have you. But I enjoy the work of those dudes. But Mick was that way. I don't know how you. I totally disagree that he was. I don't want to say forgotten, or something seems to be missing on how great he was. See, I never looked at him that way. I've been there since day one, so I don't have that same feeling. And unlike a lot of fans, just because our opinions are different doesn't mean you're an idiot. It just means you and I don't have the same opinion. But if I'm a classy guy or try to be a professional, I shouldn't disregard your opinion. It's as good as mine. It's just different sometimes, and there's nothing wrong with that, So it's all good. We all know who the greatest college football program is in the world, Oklahoma.
Oh gosh. So
see there. You disagreed with me.
I did,
and I'm not mad at you for it. What else would you say? You say exactly Alabama.
Of course.
And more people would agree with that than my fanboy theory of it's all Oklahoma all the time, including my coffee mug.
Chat me up. You see people just sort of gloss over Foley's efforts in this time period and strictly talk about the cage match?
They shouldn't, but a lot of them do, because the cage match was so sensational. The Hell in a Cell you're referring to. I think it's hard not to think about the Hell in a Cell in June of 1998, because it's embedded into the minds of fans globally. We've done, when you and I were in the UK,
yeah,
we did 3 shows over there. They're all very successful, thank God, knock on wood. But I got those questions every night. What did you think when you saw Foley go off the stage? Did you know, or how'd you prepare? Did you have something written that you were going to say? Shit, no, I didn't have anything written. I didn't know they were going to do it. So what you heard was real in that respect. And that's what made, I think, my contribution, small as it may be, effective was because you heard real JR. And I wasn't working you. I did, okay, I'll say this, you say that. Go bullshit. That's not how you broadcast. So anyway, that's how I look at that deal. But no, I think you can't judge Mick just off of 1998's Hell in a Cell massive bump. He's too good for that. But that bump was so monumental and so significant that how do you forget it?
Right.
How do you not factor it into anything you want to talk about, Foley?
You gotta get excited about saving people all those dollars. They can limousine ride and jet fly now with that extra cash.
And they can style and profile with a quick 10-minute phone call right now to 425-0105.
That's 425-0105. Woo!
SaveWithConrad.com.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.